Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the DaVon Lewis Show. I'm your host, DaVon. Appreciate you guys coming through, showing your love, and I appreciate you guys coming out. Tonight, I'm doing a review for AEW Collision, as tonight was nonstop action all across the board, as we had a phenomenal card across the books. We ended up having the Continental Crown champion Eddie Kingston taking on Brian Keith, who just now officially became All Elite this following evening, which was phenomenal seeing him coming into his own and now officially getting signed on the books, actually getting a full graphic up tonight, which was phenomenal seeing. Also, we ended up having Red Velvet in action taking on Bird Vixen. And another conclusion match, we ended up having Brian Danielson taking on CML, her Sincero, which that was a phenomenal match from start to finish. I really was digging this match. Couldn't have no complaints when it came to how they did their thing and put on an instant classic. And it kept me highly invested when it came to how those two were putting on a banger from start to finish. Another one we end up hearing from Swerve Strickland. He made his way out addressing when it came to Hangman and a couple of things that was going on for the night. And then we also had a great women's singles competition between Serena Deeb and Queen Anna Mineta, which was a phenomenal match, and I really enjoyed that one as well. The ladies really did pretty good tonight, doing their thing and taking control of everything and basically figuring out their groove. I'm kind of liking that Tony gave them a little bit more spotlight tonight on Collision. For the most part, everything is looking and shaping up as they're heading towards the road over to Revolution next month, which is going to be phenomenal. And I look forward to seeing how things transition and how everything flow from there. Starting off the night started off with the first match directly. It was Eddie Kingston, the AEW Continental Crown Champion, taking on Brian Keith, which was a phenomenal hard fought battle from start to finish. These boys put on the clinic when it came to traditional moves back and forth, and it was very hard hitting, including with repeated slaps and things in between. This match was a solid 14-minute match, which kept me invested, including what the moves they were doing, including hitting their trademark moves back and forth. The conclusion of the match ended with Keith hitting a couple of repeated slaps, and then Eddie absorbing with a couple shots and ended up countering and hitting the spinning fist for the victory for the 1, 2, 3. And the crowd was really good when it came to this match tonight. That's the way I like to see more AEW crowd being invested and showing they love when it comes to the talent. The talent are doing their best they can, but tonight the crowd was red hot, and I really enjoyed the way how they were delivering themselves and how they were highly invested. I truly look forward to seeing more crowds like this over the time as they continue to get more into better towns. Texas was a really good crowd tonight. Um, but for the most part, after the conclusion of that post match between Eddie Kingston and Brian Keith, they had an interview with, of course, our main man, Tony Schiavone, who's always been great the way how he's been delivering his things with these interviews and knows how to hit a core when it comes to these talent. Tony Schiavone basically went off to interview um, Eddie Kingston directly, and Eddie Kingston had not much to say. He said basically you can just go ahead and just throw it out and go ahead and chop it up with Brian Keith. And then of course they ended up letting Brian Keith know off the back that he was officially all elite. They had a whole full video package, and the crowd really was loving this. This was a Texas grown homegrown man who really has been highly invested when it comes to delivering his craft. And I'd like to see more of him when it comes to AEW. He's always been phenomenal how he just delivers himself and how things have been turning out directly. Um, then, of course, we ended up having entrance flaw from Brian Danielson coming out. Of course, basically just trying to get under the skin of Eddie Kingston in the long run. And Eddie Kingston was too fond of Brian just to come out. Of course, Brian ignored him. And then, of course, went over to Brian Keith and then raised his hand for being an official part of the All Elite roster on the homegrown roster page. From there, then it head off over to commercial break, and then they ended up having a nice John Moxley package directly video promo. He was basically just getting into it about the four CMLL guys that came out to ambush him this past Wednesday on Dynamite, which is kind of homegrown. What they're seeing, what they're doing with Dynamite is just another forbidden door, as they're working with CMML. When it comes to their talent, we know they have some really great talent over there, including Mystical and a couple other guys that have been really been underlooked on the indie scene, but they're looking to get displayed directly here tonight and over the next following weeks, directly on Dynamite and on Collision and also on Rampage. They come back from directly from commercial break and then they get things underway as Brian Danielson was taking on her get this right, Serial, which that was their following direct match. I really enjoyed these two getting onto it. The CMLL guys really are just living in their own when it comes to technical wrestling, but Cyril basically did his thing. He really put on a clinic. He really gave Ryan Danielson a run for his money. He controlled the majority of this match from start to finish, and these boys were really doing all the chops, doing the chain wrestling. They really were doing all nice transitional moves, and I really enjoyed the way how they were highly in developing themselves and delivering things in the long run. And you couldn't ask for anything better directly when it came to how Brian Danielson and Harisko had a really great chemistry when he delivered himself directly when it came to chain wrestling and doing everything directly offhand. And you couldn't ask for anything better as they both were going back and forth, including with the chops, including with the heavy chops and transitional moves directly from start to finish. And then, of course, Brian Danielson ended up picking up the victory from a roll up. And in the post match, her serial ended up basically attacking Brian Danielson. And then we ended up having Claudio entrance hit, making a pop. The fans really pop for Claudio. He made his way down to make the save to Danielson as Jericho basically left his way directly out the ring. And we see the feud with it going with the BCC taking on the CMML guys, which is going to be a phenomenal once they get to either an 8-man tag or just have traditional back-to-back matches over time as they continue to get familiarized with each other and make some great transitional matches over time. Hopefully, we get some good bangers out of this open door match and we shall see what happens in the long run as they continue to make long-term booking when it comes for both companies as AEW because they benefit from it and same as well. You get the spotlight and get the CCMML talent get their shine and do their thing directly out there. Moving on, we ended up having FTR and Daniel Garcia. They were in an interview, and they basically addressed a whole lot of things, including the future of the trios team, where they are with the rankings being back, and then also just saying, hey, they're looking to have. It's good to have. Be happy to have FTR on his side, and then also making a closed chapter in the House of Black, which they had a great banger last week, and you couldn't ask for anything better when it came to those trios teams going at it back and forth. And maybe they'll revisit later, but I think they put a nail in the coffin when they had that nice steel cage match from Dynamite, and you couldn't go not Dynamite but Collision, which you couldn't go wrong with that whatsoever. And then of course going back into it, I'd like to know what you guys from your own personal opinion where you will see the talent from FTR and also Daniel Garcia. We like to see them over time in the future revisit with Black House of Black. Also, to give your thumbs up as well. It helps the algorithm if you are just coming through, just swinging by for a quick minute and just seeing what's going on. Hey, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt much just to throw some thumbs up, share, like, or comment as well. As the match continued to go on, we ended up going over to Hook. It comes back into a following match. We have Hook taking on some local talents, which is the Outrunners, in a handicap match. Of course, the announcer got the names wrong of who they were directly, but that was a nice little funny botch. I laughed for a good, cool minute. And this match was short and sweet and simple. It was a squash match from start to finish. We ended up having Hook picking up the victory in a nice submission with the Red Rum, and he handled business. But he's on a return bounce back after he lost to Samoan Joe, which was kind of hard to bounce back from. He took a beating, but he still he was perseverant and came back and did his thing. And I couldn't ask more to see Hook back on his high horse and getting back into the win column as the rankings continue to be leveled out directly through AEW. And I'm loving the entrance which I did put a shout out to Tony Khan. I was like, hey, can you go ahead and put the hook signal back directly on every single entrance? 'Cause I feel like that'd be a key part to hook. And now I look like that's going to be moving forward directly from the owner of AEW as he went ahead and pushed that. And now we're seeing that actually every single week now that Hook is making his direct entrance from AEW. Um, the following match, we ended up having Mark Briscoe in an in-ring promo. He was in the ring with Tony Schiavone, which is doing double time work. He was addressing a whole bunch of things that were going on from his past and other beefs that he's having when it came to other talent that he was rolling with directly off the back. And of course, he addressed House of Black directly. And then, of course, the lights ended up going out. And then, of course, the House of Black had a nice promo as well as addressing him directly on what they were feeling and etc. This is where it's going to be a nice, great transitional match in the future. I look forward to seeing what goes on in the long run. I know that Mark Briscoe has some sleeves tricks up his sleeve, but we shall see what happen. What's going on in the long run, and I like to see what's going on with the House of Black. House of Black is really picking apart the people and making some interesting feuds over time. And I wonder who's going to have Mark Briscoe back as he continue to go into this hard fought battle against the House of Black. You can't do it on your own when you're going against those boys. Those boys really know how to put a hurting on folks, and I don't know if he has anything to counter that directly for Malachi Black and for Brody King and for Buddy Murphy directly for Murphy. But on the long run, they basically said that they will eradicate him from pro wrestling, and then that they already are in his head. And then, of course, the lights, and then they show by example, the lights come back on. He's looking around directly through the ring, and he doesn't see anybody from there. But of course, the Texas crowd was really hot, red hot, and they basically hyped him up and kept him invested. And he basically knows how to connect with the crowd very well. And the crowd went on and went ahead, and everything went smoothly from there as they went into commercial break. Then they came back from commercial break, and then they end up having a nice Adam Copeland package as he's directly on the chase for the TNT Championship. He's having a long-standing feud with Christian Cage and the Patriarchy, as this is he's basically putting everything in his forefront, and he's looking to take on all open challengers. He's had some phenomenal matches with so many people, including um, everybody from all over that he has come in contact with the new talent, including Suzuki as well, which was kind of nice one. And he's really running red shot, and I'm enjoying what Alvin Copeland has been putting on a showcase. Of course, some people had just maybe disagree when it comes. They don't like to see him running with younger talent, but I feel like it helps him. He wants to work with those talent because he's been watching them for a long time when he was in his transition from the WWE. Then he made his way directly over here to do some great things, and you couldn't go wrong to how he has been delivering himself and still keeping himself elevated in the long run when it comes to long term booking. And we'll see what he comes out to that and where he sees himself. And hopefully, we'll see if he makes his quest directly back to the TNT. But there's so many challenges out there, including with the rankings. But he's racking up the wins each and every single week. But also, the announcers went ahead and announced that Adam Copeland is going to be on Collision next week, and of course they're going to be housing in Vegas. Hopefully, I'll maybe get some time and maybe go check out that show live directly. And if you guys are in town, feel free to come through. I show you support and love, and let's chop it up. Or if it ain't about pro wrestling or anything like that, sports or whatever, or if you just want to take photos and or just carry a conversation, I'm always down for a conversation. I'm always there to support my people who are family or friends, or even people who are just supporters of this channel directly. Um, Serena Deeb, she came back for another solid, great match. She took on Aminata. Um, Queen Aminata has really been really delivering the whole thing for me. I'm really seeing her go into her own as she's becoming a lot more better and transitional. So, of course, she's been getting a couple of L's lately, has been jobbing out to so many talent over the time. But we shall see how she does as she continue to get better over time. I know some people even chopped up with on social media. They really have wasn't too fond of her. They're like, hey, we need to see a little bit more of her. But if you watch her work, she can go. She can deliver. And I don't think we're gonna maybe cancel Christmas no time soon for Queen Aminata. As these two ladies really went to toe to toe put on a direct banger, and I had no complaints when it came to how they delivered themselves. If you're a true wrestling fan of women who really want to real wrestling, I highly recommend for you guys to go check out this match. It was Serena Deeb tonight taking on Queen Aminata, and they both put on a nice wrestling clinic. They're both really showed and shine with their technical skills, and really was going back and forth of showing everybody what they can do. The crowd was really highly invested into these women, and they really enjoyed the way how they delivered themselves and went about everything. It was pretty cool and chill, and I had no complaints. The following match went for a solid 12 minutes. It was cool. It was calm, collected. It was a nice pace. Um, Queen Aminata really controlled majority of the match towards the end, and but unfortunately she ended up catching the L, and she ended up submitting Serena Deeb as she ended up catching the victory with a single Boston Crab, and everything else went smooth from there. As you couldn't ask for nothing more when it came to these women. And again, the Texas crowd really was highly invested, and that was a really great market when it comes to how they deliver themselves. And they really enjoyed this women's match. Some women matches, some towns is kind of hard to pick, and they can pick and choose. But this town was really perfect when it came to seeing these ladies put on a showcase without the fans getting bored or just totally just turn it off. Or even if you tune in and you just go take a piss break and you figure that was a sleeper. But this match wasn't a sleeper. I really enjoyed it from my own personal opinion, and I had no complaints when it comes to that. Moving forward, we ended up having Swerve Strickland taking on, not taking on anybody, but he had an interview. He was announced by Tony Schiavone, who's still working overtime tonight. He's doing his thing, and I always appreciate having that classic voice. I feel like he needs to go ahead and be into the WWE Hall of Fame, and because he's always been great the way how he's delivered himself and how he's has put everything forward and doing everything and being one of those pillars when it comes to real announcing and helping the new young talent become a lot better and becoming great directly. Um, Swerve ended up basically going over so many different things, and this promo delivered and hit it to the core. He really was supporting the black community from start to finish when it came to how he was basically directing everything. From my own perspective, he will be the first black AEW World Heavyweight Champion. He's very poised, the way how he delivered himself, and he did a phenomenal job of how he carried himself. He knows how to read the crowd, and he's just been doing a phenomenal job. You couldn't ask anything more from Swerve Strickland. He ended up having, from I quote, basically what he was going off of on his thoughts about Hangman Page for next week. But basically for the title shot for Revolution, between those two, whoever wins ended up meeting Samoa Joe at Revolution, which is going to be a red hot crowd as well, from my own personal opinion. Swerve said he acknowledges Black History Month and the people who paved the way for him to be in the ring in the position he is now today. He included wrestlers like Ron Simmons, Kofi Kingston. He gave a shout out to Kofi, which is kind of nice and cool. And he also to the Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena, which was he renounced phenomenal women that you couldn't have no complaints about when it came to their deliverance, how they behave themselves, and they all are phenomenal champions in their own right for Black History Month. So don't forget to show your love to people who have done phenomenal things for this following month, Black History Month, and show your love and support and share the love. If it's your family or friends or somebody who you look up to as a mentor, go ahead and do your thing and deliver that and that love and support. Because when they're gone, they don't get that. So you need to go ahead and deliver your flowers to whoever that you feel are very important in life that you really want to show that love and support to. Do that, including if you got somebody who's running a business or anything in between. Do your thing and show your love to people for Black History Month. And then also he went on to explain that he doesn't regret any terrible things that he has gotten to get to the spot that he has gotten to. He's beaten Hangman twice already, and the third time will be like a charm. Um, when he tries to get in a couple more words, Princess Anamar basically cuts him off and was about to talk a few more things, and then Swerve cut him off directly and said, the Mobile Embassy won't be a ringside for this match. No interference and no excuses. And he leaves it straight as that. He says he will beat Hangman, and he's going to submit himself, and he's going to take on Samoa Joe for Revolution, which is he was very stern, very serious about how he delivered his promo. and you couldn't ask for anything better. Then they moved on from there as they went ahead and convert to a blackout, and they end up going to a nice promo by Tony Storm. Tony Storm has been in her own. She has been doing a phenomenal job when it's the carrying herself as the women's champion, doing that nostalgia black and white kind of style of like Marilyn Monroe style kind of character, which has really been getting over and really have been doing a really great deliverance. You couldn't ask anything more when it comes to how they have been really delivering her, and she has been making her transition as being one of those phenomenal pillars as well for the new generation for AEW. And she is the top dog on the block as being the AEW Women's Champion. And we'll continue to see where this feud goes when it comes to Deonna Purrazzo. Um, and she says she's ready for a public workout, and she announced that she's going to be in a match this following Wednesday as she's taking on Red Velvet. She feel like it's going to be a cakewalk, but we shall see what happens. Red Velvet ain't no is a tough. There ain't nobody you want to joke with. She's a tough cookie as well, which I give my props to her as well. She have been doing her thing, but of course she's been catching the L's a little bit. But she's a great talent. I'd like to see Red Velvet become in a better spotlight when it comes to how they delivering her as well. Then they pull back to the ring as announcers matching the match. Then we end up having Tony Storm's opponent that she will meet the following Wednesday for Dynamite. Red Velvet comes down to the ring as she's getting ready to take on Bert Vixen. These ladies put on an instant classic. They did the best they could when it came to going back and forth. The ladies were red hot tonight. They really were doing their thing tonight from both matches. They were doing their thing and they were keeping each other invested. And but it was a quick match as basically Red Velvet ended up picking the victory by hitting the backstabber and then hitting her stir it up spin kick for the victory for the 1, 2, 3 and putting that to bed. As Ver Vixen's still trying to figure her stuff out as she continued taking L's, but she ended up making her debut for Collision tonight, and we shall see where they go in the long run. As this was a short match directly, and of course, Ver Velvet directed at the camera and said, "She's coming for you, Tony." And she's looking like she's really ready for Tony Storm. So we shall see what happens this following Wednesday coming up. FTR. Now we getting over towards the main event of the night. We're having FTR, Daniel Garcia, taking on Christian Cage, Killswitch, the Prodigy Nick Wayne, and accompanied by their mom, of course, being there at ringside. And we ended up having Matt Menard over on commentary as he was gearing himself up and getting everything all ready for the following match. As this match was pretty good from start to finish. It was a trios match, 6-man tag, as traditional. And these boys put on a nice hard spots. They were going back and forth. They were keeping the fans highly invested. You couldn't go directly wrong when it came to each match that these boys have been in so far. This was their first meeting as a trios, but of course, I'd like to see where this going and where this is investing from so far. From my own personal take, Revolution is looking like it's going to be red hot. But this main event really set the tone for the direction they're going to go when it comes to where Christian will be going. Same with Daniel Garcia, who has been really just coming asleep, kind of slowly sneaking up on everybody and delivering a phenomenal performance. You couldn't ask for anything better. The main event really was underway with great transitional tags, hot spots, a lot of nice trio moves, great direct dives, and you couldn't go any wrong with that directly whatsoever. Daniel Garcia ended up picking up the victory with a fruit roll up, which is the old school traditional way of getting pinfalls nowadays, but they're not overusing it now. Thank God in AEW they're not doing it too much. I know WWE they're pretty much known for doing that. But tonight it was very on point, and I couldn't ask for anything more when it came to the way how they delivered, how everything was going on. And it was great. And you can't ask for anything more when it comes to the main event. Of course, they kind of teased it that Daniel Garcia most likely will be taking on Christian Cage in the near future. Maybe they set that up for next Collision or Dynamite. But I feel like they're going to put on a phenomenal match. And you can't ask for anything better when it comes to Daniel Garcia. He has been coming to his own. Of course, the dances has kind of been like, so, like, man. But he still knows how to deliver and put on great wrestling. Same when it comes to Christian Cage. But I'd like to know from you guys' own personal view, how was your take of tonight's match of Collision directly from all the great matches that we ended up having? Because we had some phenomenal matches. Adam Copeland's still in the win when it comes to Christian Cage as well. And then, of course, this following Wednesday we have a nice stack card as well as Tony Khan is putting together some great matches for this following Wednesday. So I look forward for you guys to chime in, talk to me, comment on if you're coming directly from Twitter or if you're coming from YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys for taking the time out to come through. If you're just coming in and out or making a transition, you guys are always amazing for doing your part. And hey, support the wrestling community and show your love each and every single week as I try to be here every single week as I try to continue to go through for Collision and for Dynamite as well for AEW and also as well for WWE content as well, including for the PLEs. But you guys are amazing. Continue to share my content. I will do the same thing for you guys. And if you are a true wrestling fan, continue to show your support and follow, like, comment, subscribe. And let's chop it up. And hopefully we'll meet up in the near future. And you guys have a phenomenal night. Be safe. God bless. And have a phenomenal 2024 to make your money. And have a great night. Appreciate you guys. Peace.